Oh, hello, this is Tak Chung from Walk with Tak. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video and would like to receive notifications of my future video postings, please subscribe. I remember when I first started my YouTube channel, I was totally unfamiliar with social media. This is not something that I have engaged in the past. In fact, I was so ignorant about the nature of the channel, I did not realize that when people make comments on my channel, I can actually respond to them. It was not until I saw a comment on one of my videos and the person said he really doesn't care what you think because he will never respond to you. It's only at that time I realized that, I do care. I just didn't know how to respond to people's video comments. Today, in fact, the video comment is probably the favorite part of my YouTube channel. I really enjoy hear what a viewer have to say, and I usually respond to as much as I possibly could. This video in many ways is a direct response to one of the viewer that wrote to me about several weeks ago. He told me that he's entirely new to the wok, and he's also totally unfamiliar with cookware without non-stick coatings. So he told me the best thing I could do to make this video helpful to him is to give him some examples that things that he would normally cook in a pan with non-stick coating, but now to cook in his wok. So he and I have some communications, and I asked him, so what kind of things would you like me to show you how to cook in your new stainless steel wok? He told me that both his wife and him love salmon and steak. They actually will go out to eat that once in a while. And if he can cook that at home anytime he wants, that will be absolutely wonderful. So in this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to cook salmon and steak in the wok. Now, I have done similar video before, but I did it in a cast iron wok. Therefore, in this video, I'm going to use my Cuisine Art 14-inch stainless steel wok and to demonstrate how they work in different types of wok. Now for this demonstration is actually I cooked for dinner the other night. My son requests to have some steak and my wife requests to have some salmon. In my case, I have developed a method that I actually cut the steak up into cubes and I freeze them such a way so that when I want to thaw them out, they could be thawed out in about 10 to 15 minutes in a bowl of warm water. This is very convenient, which means that I can have steak anytime I want. I have used many different kinds of steaks in comparison of how well they do pan frying in the wok. But for today's example, I'm going to use some New York strip. Before I fry steak, I actually used the wok just previously cooked some home fried potatoes and onion. In fact, I'm going to use the oil from the shallow fry and then I'm going to cook directly. That will save me to use any other new oil. To me, that works very well. And as you can see, I'm going to use a pair of tongs to put each piece of steak onto the wok. And that works out very well. Of course, first of all, I want to make sure the oil is hot as possible. So I heat the oil close to its smoking point. Once it starts to smoke, I actually turn the heat down before I add each piece of steak into the wok. When I add the steak to the wok with the tong, I try to add the part of the steak that has most fat exposed to the surface of the wok. Because by charring the fat with the high heat, it gives the steak a very nice flavor. The tong is actually perfect. If you're going to cook it like this, I recommend you to go and get a pair of tong with a long handle. In the past, I do not know well enough. I had a pair of tong with shorter handles and my hand got really close to the wall and it got very hot. These were some of the mistakes that I make, and I hope that I can mention that to you so you could avoid the same thing that happened to me. So as you can see, I use the tong to turn each piece of the steak one by one, and I turn them on all sides. And you don't necessarily to have all the sides cooked, but I try my best to have all the sides create that slight char. At this point, I make sure that my heat is set to either low or medium because I want the inside of the steak to be cooked as well. By now, the steak is probably at medium rare to medium, and that's exactly how I want it. So I then transfer each piece of steak onto a cutting board and I set it, have it to sit for about 10 or 15 minutes before I cut it up. My son told me that he just wants to eat the steak with a fork, so he asked me to cut it up for him into pieces about bite size. As you can tell that most of the pieces, they are exactly at medium rare to medium. You will also notice that the inside of the steak is very moist and juicy, whereas the outside of the steak is very nicely charred with that slight browning and gives the excellent flavor. The total cook time for this about 8 ounces of steak is about 3 minutes. Now, I'm not much of a steak person, but my son really loves steak, and he often considers himself to be a connoisseur of steaks. So when he ate these steaks, he told me that this is probably among the best that he has ever had. I agree with him. I like the steaks as well, but I'm probably not a very good judge for it because I don't have a lot of experience. But one thing I do like about this approach, when you combine with advanced prepping and the efficiency of cooking it in the wok, I can have steak anytime I want from the freezer to table, probably in about 15 minutes. For my son, he also requests some home fried potato with onion, so I provide him a meal with steak, potato, and onion. In this dinner for my wife, she would like to have some salmon. Again, I prep the salmon the same way. After I bring them back from the grocery store, I cut them up and freeze them in pieces so that I could thaw them out readily. I heat up the wok briefly and I reuse the oil which I use for doing the home fried tomatoes and onion. I let the oil to smoke gently for about 15 seconds to season the wok. If you are unfamiliar with my spot seasoning method, you can take a close look at this video. I use salmon that comes with a skin, and in fact, the skin for my wife is one of the best part of the salmon, particularly when they fry to a slightly crispy texture. Therefore, for these reasons, I always put the salmon with the skin down toward the bottom of the wok. The skin contains a fatty layer, so they fry up really well. Again, I use my pair of tongs. I found that is very useful both for positioning the salmon as well as for turning them later on. After applying heat to frying the salmon skin for about 1 minute, I start to turn the salmons and to fry the other side of the pieces. I think there's a great advantage of cooking the salmon in pieces because it allows them to cook much quicker. The only important part is that you have to pay attention and are ready to turn them when they are getting close to be cooked. Other than charring the skin of the salmon, I do not want to char the side of the salmon, but I do want to brown them slightly. Based on my past experience, by the look of it, I know the salmon is in about the right doneness that my wife likes because she likes them a little bit well done. Again, my wife is a much greater salmon lover than I am. I don't mind them, but I do not have hankering for them like my wife. This is the type of salmon that I purchased that has never been frozen before. And so by freezing them just once, it does not seem to affect the quality of the salmon. And for this meal, my wife said the salmon tastes wonderful and they do not taste fishy at all, except when she had the last bite that was the skins that are closest to the edge of the flesh. So what is my verdict in terms of the heat holding capacity of the stainless steel wok? And my conclusion is that I think it performed as well as the cast iron wok. Now, stainless steel are well known. They are not very good for heat distribution as well as heat holding capacity. So the high-end stainless steel cookware, usually with a center layer that contain aluminum, are surrounded by stainless steel. Now, the Cucina stainless steel wok has only the bottom part of the wok that is clapped with aluminum. The side of the wok is not. This seems to me sufficient for its heating capacity as well as heat distribution. The end result of this particular cooking episode, my conclusion is that it performed as well as the cast iron wok. So if you're new to using a wok, I think this is a very good exercise for you to try out. Not only you can fry something that you enjoy, at the same time you will see the performance of a cookware with natural surfaces. Through this exercise, you will also know whether your wok is properly seasoned or not. Thank you for watching. If you find the information in this video useful to you, please click the like icon below. This will help me to expand my audience base. I'm posting about one video every day, and if you'd like to receive notification of my future video postings, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll see you next time.